experience than me. Worked in nicer places. And I came back and I got in an argument with my girlfriend, and then because her sister was dating one of the owners, I was out.
Oh, damn.
So, and it come to find out, this dude had been feeding them too. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's young, and he's probably right. Like, 100% right. Like, looking back on it now, 100% right. But this dude took my job. Yeah. You know, and so, whatever, you know, so be it. I was like, I'm burnt out from cooking. I don't want to do this. I was doing, you know, the 100 hours a week at, you know, 18, 19 years old, you know, grinding. And then I was like, but I needed a job. Well, what else do I know how to do? I know how to bake. So I went and worked at Dunkin' Donuts. Okay. It was back when
you baked the donuts.
I baked time to make the donuts.
Time
to make the fucking donuts.
All right, you made the fucking
9
donuts.
at night to 5 in the morning.
9 to 5 in the morning.
Yeah, man. It was. I did the 9 to 5.
Okay.
And it was a blast for a 19-year-old kid. Like, all my buddies would show up at 2 in the morning. We'd have beers. You know, I had a place to myself as long as my production was done. Again, I did that like...
Yeah, you were a baker. You probably got it done way early.
Yeah, they were like, you have an 8-hour shift. If you can do your production in 6, you can still get paid for 8. I could do it in 4.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes I just showed up at midnight and pounded it. Yeah. Sometimes I showed up at 9 and my buddy showed up and we had a blast and, you know, and made donuts and, you know, but as long as my production was... I mean, I was doing that production... when I was 12, you know, like, you know, so it was, you know, it's like, I can do, you know, and slamming, and it was, they were still baking, you know, they were still mixing dough and, you know, and, you know, proofing and cutting and frying and finishing. Yeah. You know, so it was legit.
So it wasn't like it is now.
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
You know, that was like, you know, and I worked in a store that supplied like 2 others. They were just starting to get into gas stations. You know, this was like, yeah, this was probably like 93, 94, 94-ish, right around there. You know, they started, you know, like we had to deliver to the mall, you know, a little kiosk in the mall. Yeah. So like we would bake in one store, then deliver to a gas station in a mall and all this. And this is the crazy thing is the owner, he owned, I think, 10 units at the time. Yeah. And he comes up to me, he's like, man, you're a real hardworking kid. You're smart. Because if you can get $100,000, I'll get you your own franchise. And I was like, no fucking way. First, $100,000 could have been $100 million back then. Yeah. And secondly, I don't want to Dunkin' Donuts. No, I don't want to own a Dunkin' Donuts. What are you nuts? Well, he owns like 140 stores now. Yeah. And we wouldn't be sitting here right now, Dave, if I had $100,000 back then. You know.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know. So like, you know, but so. I was baking overnight, and I was getting the urge to cook again. Like, and, you know, my old man, you know, and my mother, they're both workers. Like, my mother still works 60 hours a week. You know, she's 66 years old. She runs her company, and she's still, you know, I was just talking to her, and she's like, I'm like, Mom, what are you going to do? She's like, I don't know. I told them I'm retiring, and they don't know what they're going to do. They don't have anybody that can do my job. I'm doing like 60, 70 hours a week. You know, I said, tell them double your salary. Like, you know, you're eligible for retirement. But, you know, she just, you know, the work ethic, you know, was ingrained into me. You know, I went to Portugal in 2019 to see like where my dad grew up. My dad brought us all to Portugal. And I got to spend some time with my aunts. And my aunts actually broke down to me like why my dad was rough on me. Like at 12, he was put on a ship and sent to Venezuela by himself. From Madeira, and my grandmother was like, you're going to go find your grandfather, your father, and if you don't find him, I'm sending you by yourself because you're old enough to get established so that we'll be fine when we get there. Like, imagine putting that on a 12-year-old. Yeah. You know, and he was like on a ship for 9 days and then like lost in Venezuela for 2 weeks before anyone found him, you know? So when he like gave me the boot at 16, as far as he was concerned, I was 4 years past where he, you know, exactly. Like, so I understand it now. Yeah. You know, so we're like really tight now, like me and my old man. You know, because, you know, as I got older, you know, like you mature, but now I understand why he was so rough on me. Yeah. Like that's all he knew, you know, like you're product of your environment, you know, again, like why I cook the way I do, because product of my environment. Yeah. My environment was a kitchen, you know. I hope my mother doesn't listen to this, but I mean, I hope she does. But I'm wondering if I was conceived in a kitchen, because it's been, you know, like it's, you know, it's like really all, like, you know, it's, you know, there was a time where I was more comfortable in the kitchen than I was in my home. Yeah, you know, like behind the line was safe.
I understand that feeling.
You know what I mean? Like,
you don't have to deal with any problems.
Nothing.
You don't have to pay bills. You don't have to talk to your girlfriend. You don't have to fucking
the line is
deal
safety.
With shit.
Yeah, sanctuary. That's kind of what I tell my crew now. Like, I don't know if you have anything going on at home, but once you come through that door, like, this is sanctuary.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that matters here is the food, and we all grind it together.
There's a coat rack outside.
Yep.
You put your fucking problem jacket on that shit when you
Yep.
come in,
Fuck
and you take it off when you leave.
Yeah, and if we can help you a little bit to relieve some of that from when you leave, we will. But, so I was getting the itch to cook, and I started looking in the paper, because there was no internet or anything, and, and there was this place called Diet Fresh, and what it was the first, like, Nutrisystem, where you could buy a 7 or 14 or 21 meal program per week.
Yeah.
And we would cook it and chill it and package it based on calories.
Yeah.
And if you just ate this, you would lose weight.
Yeah.
And we made everything in-house based on these recipes. So I applied for the job, and it was like a glorified prep cook job. I was like, this is perfect. But I don't know why I do this. I still don't know why. I was working 9 at night to 5 in the morning as a baker, and then I'd leave the Dunkin's and go to this place for 6, 7 in the morning and prep till 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I didn't have kids. I didn't have bills.
Yeah.
I was like, what else am I going to do? I don't,
Yeah.
I'm awake during the day. I might as well go work.
Exactly.
What the fuck else do you do? Because that's all I knew. Like, if you, were awake and not doing anything, you worked. You did shit. And so I was doing that. And they had, like, a little cafe upstairs, and we were, like, prepping food. And, like, so I got to learn a lot. Like, I learned about, like, cooling procedures and packaging food and, even... I would grab all the recipes and the reheating instructions and, learn how to reheat, write reheating instructions. Yeah. And I don't know why I wanted all that shit.
Yeah.
Come down the road, I would use it in another job, but at the time I didn't know why, and it was cool. And, but, I was doing a lot, I was working a ton. And then they had this little cafe upstairs, and the chef there of the cafe was this guy, John Riccelli. He ended up closing the cafe and going and working at this place called Mill Wharf in Scituate, Mass.
Okay.
And so in Scituate, it was like on the water, right in the harbor. And John kept in contact with us, and this place was a factory. It's mid-90s. They had just renovated and put in this wood grill, and we're trying to do, like, this whole upscale thing. Ken Illinger had just taken over Tosca and doing the whole wood fire thing, this wood fire kitchens were coming big then.
Yeah.
And so John reached out and asked me if I wanted to be his assistant pastry chef, because he knew I had a baking background, a couple of days a week, so I would have a third job. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
So on the days where I wasn't at Diet Fresh, I'd drive from Taunton to Plymouth to work the overnight in Plymouth, and then I'd leave Plymouth and drive to Scituate and work 6 in the morning till like 2 in the afternoon with the assistant pastry chef there. And that was going great. And I was doing it all, and I was like, and this was like my first foray into like a big kitchen, with like stations and lines and cooking and seasoning and butchering and, like total different game changer, than like Greg's, or Humpty Dumpty's, where it was like diner, casual American food, fry-later food and steam table food. This was like actually plating, fishmongers coming in from the boats, but just chaos. It was also cooks drinking, cooks doing lines on the counter. Like, it was, 94, 95 chaos.
Pirate ship.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100% pirate ship. I remember one of the cooks, when I finally got into that kitchen full time, he's like, I'm going to teach you how to steal beers out of the walk-in. And it was like, you put a rag in your pocket, and every cook walks with a limp. And then you stick the beer in your pocket, put the rag on top, and limp out, put it in your low boy, pop it on with a chef knife. This is how you do that. And then you pour it in your coffee cup.
Yeah.
And it was like, and when they couldn't do that, they sent somebody to the package store to get a 30-pack.
Yeah.
It was just, for service. it was a total chaos pirate ship. But I was just a baker, I was an assistant baker. And then one day the line got crushed at lunch. And I'm standing like melting chocolate. I forget exactly what I do. I'm doing something online. It's getting crushed.
Like, get over here, you fuck.
I just turned around and started helping.
Yeah.
And the chef looked and was like, Johnny Rotten looked, and he was like, Baker boy, you can cook? And I'm like, I guess so. Like I've never worked in this type of kitchen before. But I just started like picking up pans and like, mountain butter and doing, just like helping saute, helping grill, like pulling off steaks and stuff. And he was like, at the end of the day, he's like, how much to quit Dunkin' Donuts and come be a cook here? Because I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, I don't know, I make $10 an hour at Dunkin' Donuts. Pay me $10 an hour and I'll come here. You know, like totally naive and not even realizing that I had the the upper hand.
Could have been like, give me 12, baby.
Right, exactly. My only negotiation was like, when winter comes, you need to guarantee that I work. Like I know winter's going to come and you're going to lay people off.
Winter's slow as fuck.
I'm like, and I'm the new guy. It's, August.
Yeah.
What's going to happen. And he was like, no, I'll guarantee you. And there was people that were like 15 years entrenched there. Like this place was entrenched with cooks and sous chefs and, but total, like, chaos. And Johnny was nuts. He was absolutely nuts. Like, you'd be on a line and he'd throw a chef knife over his back and catch it behind him in the middle of service. Like, just cuz.
Yeah.
Just like there was no rhyme or reason for any of the chaos that was going on
Understood.
in there, but you just jammed.
Well, it's just like, I feel like in those places, in that environment, they just let you be yourself. Or like whatever you can think of, you can do.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like no rules. So then you start to think of the craziest shit you can say and do, and then that starts happening.
Oh,
and then it's just like,
100%.
You know what I mean? It's just like a snowball effect of
100%.
Crazy shit.
100%. Actually, I just brought on a guy here.
Yeah.
Stu Craig reached out to me. Sourdough. So my baker harvested wild yeast to create the starter for our sourdough off our Merlot grapes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm chewing on some bread. There's a whole cheese plate here.
Yeah, so we
got charcuterie there as well. What do you got in here?
So we got some lomo from one of the pigs we butcher.
Check.
Some brajol from some grass-fed beef. Some chicken liver pate. Some smoked pork rillette. Some smoked whitefish rillette. Some different pickles that we do. Some mustard. Some cranberry mostarda. Some grilled sourdough. These are lacto-fermented half-sour baby squash.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Holy shit.
So, like playing with that whole, trying to stay, in our realm and keeping shit going. And, a brewery and a winery, if you're drinking beers and hanging out.
Yeah, you want to eat this shit.
Right. What would you want to snack on?
Yeah.
Like some great bread, and just good spreads and, some good meat. I love charcuterie. I love this type of eating. I love communal eating.
Yeah, yeah.
We're kind of in this restaurant. You can see the big communal tables here because I just want people to share.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're a chef. Mm-hmm. What's better than when people are talking about your food?
Nah.
You can say that we don't have egos, but why do we cook? So people talk about our food and like, oh my God, this is amazing. So if I just put a plate in front of you, you're going to have your head down. You're like, oh, this is great. I had this and it tastes like this. But if I put plates down in front of everybody and we're all sharing, did you try this? Or try this with this. Like you can do different combinations with that board there and make your own, play with your food and get talking about it, Conversation.
Like after doing restaurant and the Charter Oak, I mean, I had a lot of fun in Charter Oak for that matter because it was like communal. Family style. That's
what I loved about, when I looked at, the restaurant and then at Charter Oak, I'm like, Charter Oak is like kind of like bricks here.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to make a sandwich, make the best goddamn sandwich you could, and if you want to do communal spreads, whatever, you can do whatever you want. Like, just keep it good.
Exactly.
Keep it real. Make it real. Yeah. Make it real, Yeah. I tell all my cooks that everything that comes in a bag, box, or a can, a chef put there at one time.
Yeah.
So let's reverse engineer it and let's get it there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we did a throwback brunch and I made the bake shop make Cookie Crisp cereal.
Yeah.
You know, and they punched out little tiny chocolate chip cookies, and we served a bowl of Cookie Crisp cereal with, like, beautiful local milk.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, because everybody had Cookie Crisp when they were a kid.
Of course, yeah,
you know,
100%.
so we were like, we bought a box and tasted, like, all right, we got to back into